bit past that, the spin comes online at that point as well.
I think so. I also think that LGD are going to heavily prioritize their tier 1s this game. When you have something like a Morphling who requires just, like you said, that 25 to 30 minutes of just quiet farming, maybe he gets a kill or two in his lane, you're not really sure how it's going to play out just yet because it is a clockwork. Kind of difficult to kill, I think, for that hero pairing. But yeah, I think it's just going to be LGD playing it safe. You know, get your ultimates up. If TNC threaten a tower, you can always defend because you just have this ridiculous team fight combination once your heroes hit 6.
I like this choice from Sam H to go for the boots first against the Morphling and Ancient Apparition. I think the movement speed advantage against the Ancient Apparition is really important for you to actually get on top of them and potentially get a kill against that squishy support since the Ice Vortex change. And then the other one is the fact that if he goes for the earlier set of cogs, he could just go and really batter the Morphling with cogs. That's really the only way you could threaten that carry, right? It's just burn out his man.
I would even say an out-of-mana Morphling could be ganked by the Night Stalker too.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have enough to morph, like what is an Ancient Apparition going to do to stop the dive? If Victoria is there, then sure, the defensive fissure can kind of stop that aggression. But then you're saying, okay, 2 heroes are pulling the attention of 3. And that's the advantage to TNC, I feel.
Tim's is going to go for an early smoke up, but I'm not sure exactly what that timing... it was...
He had a ward.
It was a ward or courier attempt, right? Like he was going to go and...
Oh yeah, courier slash ward.
Yeah.
Nice positioning there from Victoria. And even though his smoke got revealed, he doesn't really have the information of the ward being placed on the high ground. He can only really assume. Tidehunter,
Old 11 is going to be faced up against 1437's Oracle and Raven's Sven. Should be able to do pretty well in this lane. You could already see TNC really trying to pressure the Tidehunter as soon as possible, but he does have those extra set of Tankos. They're going to go for try and see if they block him in, but just eats another tree. Will be okay. Mid lane, Cuckoo's actually very low, but so is Maybe. They're going to be able to get the Fissure onto 2. Maybe gets far enough away to get some healing salve time. The Void is looking to be able to cut that healing salve down to half. And it does kind of ruin some of the regen, but Cuckoo's also still staying quite low. He does not have a healing salve. He's just going to have to slowly regen through tangos. Since he did go for the... Oh no, he's just going to get popped. He got so greedy, Cuckoo. Sticking around in lane like that with only the breathe fire.
He might have assumed that maybe didn't skill silence at level 2, I guess. It really depends, but if you hit that level and you go for the all-in, it can definitely catch you off guard. I think that's kind of what happened there when they got the first blood. Still, nonetheless, nice play from Maybe. The clutch scale up into a kill.
Earthshaker is still going to be chilling around the mid lane. Even though they got that first blood, Tim's is going to be playing that roaming 4-position Night Stalker that looks to catch the Ancient Apparition as often as possible, and it looks like they just caught him. Void to slow him down, and Sam H stands on top of him, not even needing the cogs to hold on to that extra mana. They claim the kill.
He knew he was dead to rights as soon as he got hit by like the first Void. Not really much it can do about that. In that sense, even just having the Night Stalker kind of sitting bottom is still going to apply a lot of pressure to Ame, and I think that Tim's is going to be spending the majority of his time, you know, collecting the bounty runes, walking back and forth. If for whatever reason Sam H and Tim's are both at, you know, LGD's bounty in the bottom forest, and Yao is there, he's just dead. And I think that's one of the only real reliable ways of getting experience and gold that he has right now, because even pulling is dangerous against, you know, not knowing where the Night Stalker is.
Sure. They get a lot of damage on Cuckoo. This is really played out well by LGD. Victoria goes for something that was pretty important, the preemptive enchant totem. Then hits the Fissure block, gets that big amount of physical damage in, and I think just that extra hit was enough for them to be able to bring down Cuckoo again in the mid lane.
I seem to see a lot of Dragon Knight versus Puck matchups at this TI, and the Dragon Knight just loses because of just getting ganked so much. Like, everyone runs to this hero's lane, they try to punish him super hard, and normally you think, this guy's so tanky, how are you going to kill him? But they always manage to set it up.
Poor Ancient Apparition. Yao did manage to finally find the ward that was blocking his easy camp, and it's pretty important, right? The Ancient Apparition, despite facing up against Clockwork and Night Stalker, he can't just sit AFK behind Ame and lane constantly. Oh, this is going to be a good opportunity. Fish block. Actually, Fissure doesn't land. He still managed to get the Cold Feet lockdown there. Meanwhile, at top lane, we missed the Night Stalker wrapping around behind the Tidehunter. Got TNC to kill.
this is kind of what we were speaking to as well, needing that magical damage to take down Old 11 on that Tide. The Sven is skilling up stun. Raven is not going for the, you know, the extra point into Warcry. He's not going for the Great Cleave. He just really wants to punish the Tidehunter, knowing that it is really hard, I think, in this case for Old 11 to not show in lane, because then it's nighttime. You know, Tims is going to be running around the map. If you're not showing in lane, you're not applying pressure to the safe laner, then Tims can pretty much go wherever he wants.
That was perfect. The fact that Tims took that bounty rune, because he's going to be able to get his own bounty rune in the Dire Jungle, and that gives him level 3. That's the real feel-good moment right there, right? If you can get, as a roaming Night Stalker, you can get level 3 by minute 4, then you just hit this huge power spike. Whether you get the extra level in Void or you need the silence, either one is a big boon to
Old
you.
11, you are
It's
in
out
there.
far, and they go for the extra level in Voids, and they're going to be able to slow him down. They just can stun him and hold him in place for so long. Now, Old 11 does mitigate a lot of the damage now that he's level 4. Bottom lane looks like they managed to catch Sam H. Every single time I look to one of these side lanes, the kill attempt is a failure, but mid, we're going to see Cuckoo dove by Victoria here. Turns around, manages to get the Dragon Tail stun, but an orb does manage to land on Cuckoo, but the bottle heal is keeping him alive. So maybe's dive is not going to work out for him. Sam H actually TPing to the tier 2, but no boots on Maybe means he is going to be caught by this battery. Salt has the orb up though, so he's not going to be dying to this. Sam H, he went for the extra level in Power Cogs, actually trying to stay on top of Maybe because Tims is coming over now. Victoria's going to be able to get the Fisher onto Tims, but he's going to fly right over the cliff. Going to be able to get the Voids here, but no, actually doesn't even go for it. He's going to be phase shift or dodge, and they get on top of the shrine. So happy days for LGD.
So much movement coming out from TNC in the early part of the game. Expected though, just given the hero combination that they have. And this is all done without the use of Maybe having the Dream Coil. Once that comes online, you're going to be seeing even more aggression. Might even see him TP to another lane to try to relieve perhaps Old 11, who, you know, despite everything, he's died still sitting at 21 CS. Not too bad at all.
Sam H just keeps on trying to get the cogs burned because he did put an extra level in that. We saw that yesterday, didn't we, with a Clockwork that had a Keeper of the Light on his team?
Yeah.
Felt like he didn't need the Rocket Flare.
Yeah, he was going for like the mass mana burn, and to be honest, if you max cogs and battery, you have the highest 1v1 kill potential.
Yeah.
Because it takes the extra hit to kill the cogs, they last longer. It's a very good way to make sure that heroes like Ancient Apparition and Earthshaker just straight up die to you when you initiate.
You even get the damage oftentimes. You know, the hero does kill the cogs after 3 hits, but he runs out of the cogs and gets burned by it. It's a wealthy amount of damage at level 4. Tims and Victoria having that little bump in the night. Night Stalker's right next to him. Night Stalker spotted Victoria on the side here, and I think, yeah, Victoria just spotted Tims as well. Nothing should come of this 2-on-2. Cuckoo's just going to try and get some damage. A little bit of chip here and there off of his reverse dragon form.
Taking quite a while to hit level 6 on the puck. Now Cuckoo's actually a full level ahead, we say that though.
They're going to try for this kill, even though he does have a haste rune in his bottle, and they knew about it too. That is going to be a coil completely wasted. Top lane, Old 11 against God's Strength. You're not going to be able to stop that amount of damage, so they do manage to kill the Tidehunter again. Really doing a great job, because the Tidehunter, once he starts getting level 7, level 8, he really becomes that unkillable territory. So I love the fact that they're putting so much pressure on him early, since it is such a farmy offlaner. It's not one that gets level 6 and moves around like Sam H's Clockwork.
There is another really strong point too when we're talking about the Tide, is that there's no ancient stacks for him. A lot of the time when you have these supports that kind of just sit behind a lane, when you have this downtime, you go and you stack something because you're not really rotating around and looking for kills so much. You're just trying to prevent aggression.
Sure.
So like Victoria hasn't really been able to accomplish any of the stacking for the Tide, which a lot of the times can propel you from having kind of a rough lane to, you know, maybe you get your full arcane boots, and that just, you know, makes you accelerate your own farm more and more.
2-man smoke gank during daytime. Smoke ganks are always awkward against Night Stalker, you know? Because most teams like to be able to smoke during nighttime. The less vision really helps. They're going to try and go onto Tims here. It's just not going to work. Old 11 trying to cut through the trees, but LGD, there's no way you catch them. So they give up. Just going to farm.
I think it's strange that they made that rotation without the Tidehunter actually being 6. I mean, he hits it now, so maybe they're trying to go for a timing.
does have an Iron Talon queued up in his inventory. Knows he's going to have to spend a lot of time in the jungle. Cuckoo is going to be caught by another Dream Coil. Fisher goes out, but there is going to be a small little save there from the Oracle. Some magic damage, but they just hold off. Throw out the nukes later.
As DK is just getting abused in the mid lane. With the deaths that he has, though, Cuckoo still managed to get a little bit of a CS lead over the puck, and it's a lot of commitment every single time. You know, they're sending 3 heroes mid. Sam H is getting some EXP, just hits level 6 now. With hookshot available, Yao and Victoria have to be incredibly careful because it is so easy for Sam H to just wreak havoc on those 2 supports during this stage in the game.
Victoria is not moving from this spot. He's not going to let Raven clear through that stack. So he does place down a ward.
He's just trying to get some EXP, man. Yeah. He's at 6. Nice steal.
Nuisance. That's what he is. Meanwhile, though, we talked about like the potential of burning out the Morphling's mana. Maybe Night Stalker comes across or something like that, but they haven't actually really stopped Ame from doing anything. He's sitting at top of the net worth chart, 4,400.
They kind of said the Night Stalker bottom, what, the one time when they killed Yao, and then other than that, Tims has been pretty much claiming the enemy offlane bounty rune, his own bounty, making some rotations towards the mid lane to try to help counter pressure. So he's stunned here.
They are going to be able to catch Old 11, while at the same time they are going to be diving 1437. They blow up him back over to Old 11, chased down by the battery assault. These are both guaranteed kills for each side, but obviously TNC get a little bit of better one there in killing the offlaner. Tim's going to be caught here underneath the tower, but he does have Cuckoo coming in, does manage to get a stun off, but after the Fisher, but I don't think it matters. Victoria can't get out of here very quickly, so mass rotations from TNC, but with the Dragon form used, it's kind of okay. They may have rotated a lot of heroes, but they can try and put some pressure on the mid tower, as Ame is doing the same here against the offlane tower of TNC.
Should be dropping here, depending on how aggressive Sam H wants to play this. I think in the next wave or 2, can just walk in and get it. By the way, the Sam H, he decided to just go for like casual 2 points into cogs, and then only has double battery. I mean, I suppose it's a moot point since they'll be hitting level 7 so soon, but it'll lane again.
Goes for the tower, but they bait it out with the glyph. They're just holding Cuckoo there. They are going to be able to get the Oracle save here, so Cuckoo managed to get the last hit onto the tower. Let's see if he can escape. I'm not sure how much healing he's really going to be able to get out of this. When the Ravage does manage to hit him, it is full commitment from LGD to shut down that Dragonite again.
The top lane, Yao.
He did.
He's very dead.
Raven wraps around. Pretty cool play from Raven there, wrapping around like that, being able to kill the support. And with his God Strike, hit the tower if he wants to, but he's actually TP'd over to start doing his Ancient stack with that God Strike. Mass efficiency.
Yeah, I like this. Especially considering the fact that you know that Ravage was just used, so it's going to be really hard for LGD to contest you while you're doing this. You got your Shrine up, you know, everything's looking good. Another coil.
Tims. 1437 doesn't have the save, but Sam H just might with the cogs onto 2 with the battery salt going in. But all these heroes are so damn tanky with the lower level of battery salt. It's not going to be very easy for him to cut any of them down to size. So all of LGD will remain healthy. We do save the Night Stalker's life in the process.
Got the super efficient Shrine usage though from TNC, followed by a smoke. No hook yet though.
Yeah, without the hook, they're completely relying on Tims being able to get the silence off, but he does manage to get it. Slows down maybe. The silence isn't going to last very long, but long enough for the stun to be able to land, and the cogs push back for the extra bit of hold. 6 to 7, 12.5 minutes in, TNC with a very slight lead, but Ame grows bigger and bigger.
This is kind of what TNC need to do, though, at the same time. If they're not applying pressure all the time, then you're just letting the Morphling get free farm. And in the ultra late game stages, it's pretty tough, I think, for Sven to deal with Morph just because of his mobility. He's a natural Linken's carrier, and you realistically only have, you know, 2 spells that can break it. You eventually build into the Bloodthorn, which is way later, and then you have your Stormhammer, which is a projectile, very easy to dodge. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, LGD currently have a lead in net worth, even though they don't have their mid-tier 1 tower anymore. They can still just contest every single tier 1 as long as they have some ultimates.
So you think TNC needs to really start running at Ame, especially with this Blink Dagger? I think Raven has a pretty good chance of chunking down with just like 1 extra hero, the pre-cast.
Yeah, it's possible to kill him. They needed the silence off really early though.
Yeah. Raven stands and fights. He does have some heroes behind him, but the Ancient Apparition Ice Blast is going to be able to come in and bounce back Raven. They do manage to get the save for 1437, so he turns on Old 11, trying to finish him off. The Ravage isn't up for 2 more seconds. They're trying to finish him off before the Ravage can go down, but he gets it off just in time, and Sven explodes, so they'll get 1437 as well. Value plays here from LGD. Ame is still full HP, so he'll just keep on whacking on that tier 1 tower, and the rest of TNC's rotating heroes are just going to be here a bit too late. Maybe they can kill like a support like Yao as they run right on top of him as they round the corner, but nothing to really threaten Ame. He's going to take that tower, run to the trees, and be fine.
I don't think he... Well, they don't have mana. Yeah, neither one of them have mana. Okay, he is fine. That was very fortunate that Yao tanked that gank. Essentially made TNC use all of their mana so that there was nothing left to interrupt the teleport cast. So I guess all is well that ends well for LGD. They get a tier 1 tower. They kill the Sven. They get out with Ame not dying. That was probably everything you could have asked for.
Oh, take that.
Victoria thinking about the Force Staff first for the support Earthshaker, seeing as the Clockwork is such a problem for him and his other support. So
yeah, it's super good this game. Even if you just get Night Stalker silenced or voided or something, you as Earthshaker, you're not really that mobile. So you get hit by a spell or two, or you want to save your Morphling if he's silenced inside of a Cogs. It's just a very value kind of thing. And it plays into their strategy as well. You're not really looking to make plays right now, I think, as Victoria. You're more than anything just looking to sit back, throw out a defensive fissure to make sure that, you know, Raven with his newly acquired Blink Dagger and Mask of Madness and a follow-up hook or something like that doesn't just demolish one of your teammates. You just need to save them and buy time.
And it's not like they need a whole lot of initiations. Maybe he's going to be able to make him for it pretty soon. 1,000 gold. He'll have a Blink Dagger. Tidehunter is oftentimes going to be on the front lines to make AoE stuns. So there's plenty of things that can set up initiations for LG that don't require that fast Blink combo. 8 to 8, but LGD are looking to be pretty far ahead right now, even though it's just, as you were kind of saying, like only a 1k gold lead. It just looks better game-wise for them.
It's just difficult for TNC to pressure. And as a game where the later it goes, the more you favor LGD, is 1437 is in the wrong neighborhood. He has been spotted.
You know, it's called the Dire Jungle, but at this point in the game, it's really not Dire's at all. Between the two teams both finding it a whole lot easier to invade the opposing jungle, it just kind of switches sides. So TNC, they kind of own the Radiant jungle and vice versa.
He did get a pretty decent amount of information, realizing that LGD are going to be committing to that push. Say that 1 TP back, Yao's doesn't have his ultimate for about another 10 seconds. I wonder if they'll be able to hold this.
Sam H. Oh, holding on to the Ravage there. Do manage to get the stun off, and a quick retreat here from TNC. Now, Sam H is still looking for the pick here, as maybe is going to be able to catch Cuckoo. And they have the Ravage. They're going to let it go here. Manage to catch a lot of different heroes, but the Oracle saves Cuckoo's life. Managed to get the stun onto Baby, but at the same time, the Clockwork, his initiation goes a little awry, as he managed to kill the Ancient Ambush, but not enough. Ray man fights against Victoria, but he's surrounded by too many heroes. They're going to try and still run down Victoria with Tim's, and has his flying vision to be able to catch the hero, but it may just cost him his life. The extra movement speed is going to be needed here to stay ahead of Maybe. As the orb gets a little bit more vision, goes for a nice silence TP out. That's a smart play there from Tim's, but a nasty team fight for TNC, losing 4 and only killing 2.
It's very rough right now because the Sven doesn't have BKB yet. So Raven, he's trying to push with his team because they realize that there is always an objective that needs to be taken when you're playing against this kind of Morphling mass AoE teamfight lineup. So he's there and he's trying to hit stuff, and it's just not happening. He got solo echoed there by Victoria, got chain stunned. His team can't really do anything for him because at that point Sam H had already committed onto Yao, and then we saw Waveform into the Cogs and ended up saving Yao for a good amount of time, allowed him to get off the last chilling touch, and because of that extra magical damage, they're able to just kind of chew through the Sven. So very nice team fight coming in for LGD. TNC, once again, maybe feeling like they should do something, though, because they know Ravage is down, and so is Echo for the time being.
Well, I hope that Foundry Ring was worth it.
It really wasn't. The amount of money that he gives away, and this is, I think, going back to what you said about how LGD kind of just look like they're in a better spot. If you are in a game where you know that your late game is going to be superior, and you are very close in regards to net worth, trades always benefit you, because even killing a hero like the Night Stalker is going to give you a fair amount of golden experience. If you're like super far behind, it's even better if you're that team who has the late game and takes a successful fight. it's very difficult, I think, for TNC, given the way they want to fight, to really do anything until BKB comes out on Raven. I think that is just a necessity at this point.
Do you think Cuckoo should go straight for the BKB here or the Shadow Blade?
I think the Shadow Blade is better because it helps you scale.
Yeah.
And having the Blink Dagger is great, don't get me wrong, but the heroes that you really want to try to kill, I think, are like the Tidehunter first, and without a Silver Edge.
Good nice blast, and puck combination with the Earthshaker here too. Quick execution of the Sven by LGD.
He just exploded. That was just a ton of damage. The Veil synergy on this team is huge as well. You have the Ancient Apparition, the puck full combo, Earthshaker spells. Eventually the E-Blade coming out on Ame. He's got 2,100 gold, and he's already got the Ghost Scepter for his E-Blade. That is just going to be, any hero is dead if the Fate's Edict isn't perfectly on point.
Yeah, you're already sitting at an extra 55%. Or decreasing magic resistance by 55% between Veil and then if they get the maxed out Ice Vortex.
Yeah, that as well. They're just gonna. You can't get enough armor. That's you need magic immunity, and someone needs a pipe. I think Tim's is building it. Yeah, he's got the pipe on his quick buy. It's gonna be a huge value item this game. Kind of surprised that they ended up going for the Arma build on Cuckoo against an Ancient Apparition, because it doesn't really provide you much survivability if you get chunked by the Ice Blast. I was kind of thinking, like, maybe he just goes the Eternal Envy route, you know, just buy that pipe, first item, let's go.
Yeah.
It's so good against their team, it's actually, I think, worth it in some cases.
They're all in on the magic damage. A 4-man smoke up behind Cuckoo's Dragonite, but the smoke is going to pop. They see Yao. They're going to try and catch him here, but they're now fully committed. Good hook shot onto Victoria, locking down that Earthshaker. It's his first priority, but the Force Staff does manage to get him outside of the cogs. Old 11, well, they move forward and do manage to kill Maybe's puck. Tim's, meanwhile, going to be chased down, hit by the Echo Slam. Looks like they're going to be able to lock him down long enough to get that kill, while Old 11 looks to zone the rest of TNC from chasing, as he does have that Ravage. Sam H was doing a little bit of battle from Ame. Say battle, he really just was being a big old punching bag. Force Staff forward, Old 11 doesn't have enough mobility to catch TNC on their way back. Victoria does. He actually is the one with the Blink Dagger. Who had the Force Staff? Oh, was that
the Tidehunter? Yeah, they swapped their itemization. So what I thought they would do is just go for Mech on Old 11 and then just have the Shaker by Force anyway, because it makes your 5-man just that much better. But if you have someone else with a Force, you might as well buy Blink, because if you're playing at this level and you have the faith in your teammates to save you, you can just skip it.
Yeah, honestly, the Blink's not needed on Tide too much, right? Like, he sits so far in the... Oh my god, that's so much magic damage! Raven, he almost dies to that one, but they do manage to get the Oracle save. So Raven's going to go over to the Shrine during this False Promise timing, while Sam H does manage to lock down the Earthshaker. Another Force Staff out of that one, plus the Ravage is going to be able to catch Cuckoo with the Ice Blast over the top. It protects him against the magic damage, but it still cuts him down. And now, with that armlet toggle, he ends up dying. Sam H, he's trying to get away, but okay, Cogs push back, maybe. I don't think you really want to chase this one. LGD have already done enough damage, and TNC is going to be able to come back here with Raven with the God Strength and cut down the support, but they need cores here so badly. Raven's just swinging through the creep wave. They aren't going to be able to chase down Old 11. He's got the Force Staff, but I think he's just dead. LGD is just going to leave him behind. I really like that play for the Force Staff, but they still have the Blink Dagger on Raven to keep up. That will be BKB for Raven off of those kills. So that fight, it looked a little nasty for LGD in the beginning. Or, sorry, it looked a little nasty for TNC in the beginning, but they managed to clean up a couple kills in the end, and it gets them that BKB, so they hit their big mid-game time.
That's what they need, for sure. Raven being able to just freely hit inside of the team fight is the best possible scenario for any Sven team, really. And a lot of the time, you have another hero who just kind of locks somebody down for you. So think of things like Batrider. They drag the target to a melee core, and the melee core just beats it to death. This time, it's a little bit hard because the hero that does that for him is Clock, and Clock doesn't have a ton of inherent synergy because of cogs. Like, you want a cog to keep the hero still, but it also keeps Raven out. By having the BKB, this kind of eliminates that issue of him needing someone else on his team to set somebody up for him to hit. And now, LGD still looking to be in a pretty good position, just really, really depends on the BKB reveal of Raven and what it can do.
So this combination actually goes down to minus 95% magic resistant. If they get all the things, Ethereal Blade, Veil, and the Ice Vortex all on top of the hero. Just any simple nuke is going to do so much damage. Ame, they're looking at him pretty hard, but having the Linkens kind of kill Sven's entire initiation. You alluded to that much earlier in the game, and we're seeing that problem now for TNC, that they just need so many heroes to be able to bring Morphling down.
He needs that Bloodthorn. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of hard for Sven to justify buying any more than just that, though, because if you really want to break Linkens and kill the Morphling, you need another item, too, on top of that. So like a halberd or something, just as an example. To be able to break the Linkens, apply the Bloodthorn, and stun simultaneously. But you can't really afford to commit that many inventory slots. In the meantime, LGD, looking at Roche, will be scouted out here.
Shadowblade Cuckoo on his way. It's going to be far too late to contest Roshan. LGD will go down the Aegis for Ame, and now they push forward. They're going to be able to catch a couple of heroes now. Cuckoo goes straight for Yao, going to be able to take away that Ice Blast. Well, Raven takes the other support out of the pool. He goes for Victoria. Echo Slam does manage to go off, so Cuckoo's going to take a lot of damage. He's just blown up by the shotgun, but Raven's still going strong with the BKB, but they really need him to be able to finish off some of these cores. They're just so tanky, though. 1437 does finally use the False Promise on him. Sam H managed to finish off the closing off laner, but he's going to be chased down by the other two cores of LGD. Maybe and Ame get on top of Sam H, and TNC, despite having plenty of heroes still alive, could do nothing to stop their core from dying.
That Ravage was so good. It hit everyone. It hit everyone like on the very edge in different directions in the team fight. Like obviously during that point Raven had his BKB on. But crazy thing about Anchor Smash, goes through BKB. Also still applies the damage debuff, which did hit Raven at some point. So Ame standing there being the one who takes the brunt of Raven's God Strength attacks with that Anchor Smash debuff. You know, when they changed it to give strength and not just like straight up damage, that makes Anchor Smash better against God Strength, because strength gives you base damage and Anchor Smash reduces only base damage. So it's not something you think about too much, but every little bit helps when you're trying to live through that onslaught of a BKB Sven.
Yeah, it's like that interesting Timbersaw Sven reaction. You know,
yeah.
It's the same sort of thing.
Reducing damage output is very, very nice. And just because, you know, you have that BKB, you feel kind of like invincible as Sven at that stage, because that's your 10-second BKB. That's the point where you're like, all right, let's go. I'm gonna kill everyone. He spent so much time hitting the Morphling that he really couldn't get anything done. And even on top of that, the E-Blade plays more into countering the Sven, because if you E-Blade the person he goes on, like, what does he do during that duration? Like, he has to change targets, you know, maybe there's no one else nearby to hit. It can be very tricky.
It does feel like there's just way too many kiting mechanisms for Sven to be successful. All three of the cores are too hard to kill in some way. Huck is super elusive, Tidehunter is super tanky, and he has Anchor Smash, and Ame is just super hard to kill no matter what, plus he has Aegis. So TNC really need a much stronger initiation. Last one was pretty good too. They instantly blew up the Ancient Apparition, just like we see 1437. Blown up by LGD. But they took out two supports like near instantly in the fight.
Yeah, it's just, again, Old Eleven's Ravage was too good. Like, he hit every single hero that he could, you know, feasibly hit.
And poor Dragon Knight was like at half HP when he got hit by that shotgun.
Yeah.
I think he had Veil on him at that point in time. That's the only way that makes sense.
Now this is looking to be a pretty scary timing. They still have Ravage off cooldown. Old 11 is just going to walk up to the high ground and be like, come at me, dude.
TNC, how do they stop this push? I'm honestly, I'm very surprised that Ame's backing up. Because with that Aegis and the double Linkens...
Oh, he did? Oh, he did replicate. Never mind. I was going to say, I didn't see where it was, but it's in the middle lane, so... I think he just wants to keep all the lanes pushed in as much as possible, because, again, looking at TNC, and we spoke a little bit about this during the draft, not really a lot of wave clear.
Yeah.
So once the lanes are in, they're pretty much just going to stay in. And I think LGD realized this and say, hey, look, if you have top and mid pushing in with us all being bottom, you can't really kill the creep wave fast enough. They're going to get chip damage on the tier 3 every single time someone leaves to go deep push another lane.
There's no rush on using this Aegis. Still got plenty of time. Mid jumps forward. Here comes that magic damage. Fortunately, the Shadow Blade and the Force Staff will manage to get him out. Now, maybe does not have an orb to defend himself here, but they are going to throw down their Ravage. Managed to catch 3 heroes on the back line, so Sam H is just dead. And there's no buyback. But the Ravage being used, LGD, we'll see how comfortable they feel continuing to force this situation.
They shouldn't feel too scared, to be honest.
Yeah, with double Linken, kind of unkillable. That even if they do manage to catch him, Tim's come in. Oh, they blow him up already, but Raven with the BKB goes for ult 11, but that's a Ravagelessness Tidehunter. That doesn't really do a whole lot. He needs to be able to bring down some of the other cores. Fortunately, they do manage to take down Ame, but that's just life number 1. And they actually kill him another round here. Raven doesn't actually have any mana, neither does Cuckoo. These guys are just always manaless.
They have really low mana pools. That's one of the issues with the heroes in general. And that's why I think Bloodthorn just fits Sven so well. You just get that mana pool increase, you're regenning all the time. It just feels so good to have one item in your inventory like that, even if it's, you know, some random item that gives you regen, like Linken's. We see a lot of Svens picking that one up as well. But still a defense, nonetheless. I think Ame still had time to defensively E-Blade against the Sven that was going in on his Tide, but maybe he just didn't figure like it was worth it because he already had expended Ravage anyway. And he wanted to just try to save it for a potential kill instead. But TNC buying themselves time, getting towards that Bloodthorn, that is a huge item. That is the item that basically says, I'm killing whoever I go on unless you physically stop me from doing it.
So talking about that Bloodthorn, LGD have obviously kind of owned the timing that we thought TNC and their strategy should have been the most successful. We're going to go into plan B for TNC, which is going late game against the Morphling. Yes. What do you give their chances to actually pull a win out in this game?
It's all going to be down to Raven. And what I mean by that is, does he get the lucky cleaves? Does he get the one, like, 3-man Stormhammer into a couple of cleaves and just instant crits, everyone dies? That's like the
sounds pretty likely.
That's the X factor, right?
Yeah.
But that's what Sven always does, because you get to a stage in the game where you feel like, okay, I have so much farm, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna kill everyone. But if they're all spread out, your God Strength Mask of Madness BKB is really only gonna kill like one hero, and then after that you've kind of expended most of what you're going to be doing during the fight. You just need the one good initiation where maybe LGD are moving around with the smoke and they get revealed and they're too clumped up or something like that. And that's the fight that TNC are going to look at and just be like, boom, 3 or 4 heroes dead right away because of the Sven. I think that's going to be the most likely way they're going to win, because it's too hard to push out the lanes. You can see that TNC's positioning right now. They're showing pretty much nobody on the map at all. I mean, LGD aren't either, but LGD are the ones, I think, who have the easier time pushing lanes. They have the mobility of the Morphling. He can replicate, bot to somewhere, push the lane, come back. He's not easy to kill. Whereas they've shown time and time again, they can kill Raven. That's not a problem.
Certainly. They do manage to get a successful scan on the Morphling, as he now shows himself. Radiant scan inside the base is actually going to miss. So, because they can scan inside the base, they may feel a little bit uncomfortable with Ame being out here by himself. Looks like he's kind of baiting his positioning. Not quite yet, but as his team kind of wraps through the jungle, maybe he'll push out a little bit further. But they're still looking towards mid.
This would be a really fortuitous engagement for TNC, solely because they have so much vision around where they are right now.
Yeah.
This is another really good way to take team fights if you're behind. Just play around where your wards are instead of trying to do some crazy smoke into no vision. But LGD are not going to be denied. They're going to force them back.
Get some damage onto that tier 3. TNC all managed to TP back here. But just a couple of seconds there. Oh, an aggressive force stamp onto Tim's. May have just found an opening, but they force it. They're going to jump forward onto Ame, but he managed to get a defensive force stamp away from that one. So now Raven just has to hit on old 11 if he just doesn't do enough damage. So TNC are now caught outside of their base. The last place they wanted to have a team fight. Sam H, he's going to be the one who ends up going down for that. Great setup there from, I think, old 11 was the one who used the force stamp on Tim's.
That was a really clutch play. Kind of forcing TNC to feel like they had to commit, when in reality the best thing you can do in that situation is just watch the Tim's Night Stalker just die.
Off the Linken, still have maybe's Linken to throw over to the Morphling if he ever gets in trouble. But honestly, what trouble can there be with God Strength down? 35 seconds. There's no way TNC can actually fight. Oh, Kuko has actually going to pop out, immediately get tackle slam. 1437 is going to be able to get off the false promise, and looks like they'll be able to kill Victoria with that one. So killing the backline, that's what they kind of can do. They can kill supports with this Dragonite, but the other cores are just not going to go down easy, especially as Kuko's going to be jumped on once again, trying to save from the magic damage, not going to be enough. Raven actually underneath the shrine goes for TP out, but the damage is too much. They overwhelm his HP pool, and TNC are going to have to fight again. 4 versus 5, a pushback there with the cogs. But he jumps away to his replicant. Maybe it's just going to be old 11 who dies. TNC are going to be able to catch him. Pop with the God Strike just to make this easier. But again, LGD are fine with Tidehunter dying, especially when it's after Ravage. They've already fully disengaged. They took the tier 3. They took the melee racks. They're very happy with their position in this game.
TNC are kind of being exploited in the way that they need to take fights. The Clockwork is such a heavy committal hero when you go in. If I don't get my kill when I hook, and I don't have an escape item. Like, there's no Force Staff on Samage. He built for more of the, I want to utilize my effective health pool and get Blade Mail and try to kill heroes that way, which is fine. But I just look at the difference in how Samage has to play the game and how easy it is for the Tidehunter, old 11, just to walk up behind his team, to stand there, and he pressures just by existing, right? It's such a difference in play style, and TNC, with the inability to push waves, they can't force LGD apart. They can't make them, you know, TP to a tier 3 or a tier 2 when they're pressuring, or heck, even a tier 1, I guess, because LGD's offlane tower is still alive and a 35-minute game. There's just not really a whole lot of avenues of play that TNC currently have that allow them to directly pressure LGD other than just straight up fighting. And if you try to fight LGD's lineup, it's really hard.
They desperately need that Bloodthorn. Solar Crest's going to help out a lot, too. They kind of need that minus armor on whatever hero Sven is hitting, because this is just not the Sven that we've seen in a lot of the group stage. It's not a 1, 2, 3, you're dead Sven, right? Because oftentimes he's like hitting Morphling, who's super tanky, one way or another, either has high armor or really high HP. He's hitting the Tidehunter, who's sitting at what, 2,000 HP plus the Solar Crest of his own.
Yeah, there's no easy targets. That's the biggest issue. And because of the way that the fights go, once LGD are kind of grouping up, this is something big that I think has been a theme throughout the tournaments. Anytime there's a lineup that is really good at sieging and kind of just sitting there, if you allow them to get in position first before you do anything to stop them, then the fight becomes like 10 times harder. And then you're relying on someone else on your team being able to be somewhere else on the map, doing something, pushing a wave, creating some kind of pressure or chaos that LGD would have to deal with in this case. But you can see how scared they are. Like, Ame just fearlessly teleports to the bottom lane. There's 2 heroes here.
All right, they're going to try for it. They managed to get the Storm Hammer onto the creeps, the stun onto Ame, but I think he hit the Silence, got blocked by the Linkens, and then the Void actually landed.
Yeah.
So that is not the 1-2 punch you wanted. You wanted it the other way.
They didn't even have to buy Manta. They're just going to get this tier 3. Old 11 sitting in the front line like a boss.
Echo Slam on a Cuckoo with the Ice Blast coming in. The Ravage as well. Raven does manage to pop his BKB first, but they're all out of control. So Raven's just going to be slowed down by the Skadi, chipped away, and TNC will call it for game number 1.
That was a clinic put on by LGD, really. I never felt like at any stage TNC, maybe barring like the first 5 to 10 minutes of the game, had real opportunities to deal substantial damage to LGD's lineup. They